Good evening, wherever you are. Good morning, and welcome to this episode of the Bigote Brothers Podcast. We are
Hello.
gearing up for the playoffs. It is
Almost
playoff
there. Almost
time.
there.
Almost there.
How about them Lakers?
Yes, sir.
Hold on. Before we actually start, I want to show you something. So we were
Yeah.
last week. Last week we were the reason why we didn't do anything last week is because we were out. We went to we pretty much just drove outside Auckland and
Oh.
had a vacation. And
Yeah.
I went into this. So we don't have a Walmart here, obviously, but we do have a similar kind of chain.
Uh.
And then I just went and picked up this T-shirt. I thought I would wear it for this very specific occasion. And obviously, it's purple, as you can see there.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. I'll show you. I'll kind of slowly pan out a little bit and let me know what you see.
Yeah.
Ah!
Wu-Tang is for the children.
I had to get it. I had to get the Wu Tang shirt in Lakers colors when I saw it.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, I gotta get
Oh,
this
yeah.
shirt. I gotta
Yeah,
get this
yeah,
shirt. Let's talk about the Lakers, man.
Yeah.
What?
Woo!
It's been a crazy Western Conference week, and
Yeah.
started off with the first OKC game, right?
Yeah. Oh, statement. Major statement.
What was your reaction to that game? Because I was really surprised. At
No,
that.
Mary. No, actually, I wasn't surprised given that the last couple of years we've been consistently, we beating them. Like the last Laker game that my wife and I went to was in March of last year. We played OKC and they pretty much dominated that game. That was the game where I'm not sure if you remember this, but D'Lo hit three threes in like 90 seconds, and yeah, I was there. Yeah, and so ever since that game, we've had a few games where they've had
Yep.
OKC's number. So I kind of knew that that they could win, but what surprised me was how they beat OKC. Like, was final score 126-99?
Yeah, it was a beatdown. Really, it
Yeah,
was they just dominated from start to finish.
yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like even with AD, they've always had this advantage against OKC, right?
Yeah.
And it was because of how dominant AD was, number one inside, and then obviously LeBron, and he had some supplemental shooting around. But this time it was different because obviously they OKC has Hartenstein, they had Chet Holmgren in there,
Yeah.
and then all the defenders you can just throw at any Laker
Yeah.
really. And what I was kind of surprised at is that how easy Luka had it against that defense.
Oh yeah.
It's obviously they have great defenders. You have let's let it down. Jalen Williams is a great defender. You
Dort.
have Lou Dort. My Lou Dort, I always draft in fantasy league because of his defense. They got the GOAT, Alex Caruso, in there,
Right.
right? And you got a lot of people on that squad who can really defend. SGA can defend if he wanted to.
Right.
He's a long, wiry guy. But the way Luka was getting off his shots was just. I don't know how they're gonna stop Luka in the playoffs if they ever meet.
Bro, that's gonna be difficult, bro.
And given short, I mean, we can kind of knock it down as more of an anomaly, right? Because
Yeah.
Lucas really just, everyone was hot. I think they were shooting about like 40-50%.
Right. Yeah.
And then it was just, you can call it an anomaly, but the way they're playing defense on him, because the biggest thing in that game, and you kind of touched upon it, was that Shea Alexander wasn't shooting any free throws.
Yeah.
He didn't take any free throws in that game,
Right. Yeah.
right? And so I think that's the key to stopping that offense. You just let Shea do it and just try to
Not let him
neutralize everyone else.
not let him get to the line.
Yeah, and that's what they did, right? And
Yeah.
that's what makes that first win so dominant.
Right.
The second one was a bit, to be honest, the second one was as close. I think that was probably more of a barometer of how a series or a
Yeah.
playoff game
Yeah.
those two would have went.
I
Do we
mean,
want to discuss this? That sucks. See, let's go. Let's go. What about that second game? All right, let's recap it. We know that they were up one in the fourth. I believe
we're
it
up
was 8 minutes
one.
left.
Yeah, and Luca was ejected for talking. That's it. Talking.
He was talking to fan. He always
Yeah.
does that.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's
that's
talking.
that's
That's it. You know?
he was talking shit to a fan courtside, and it just so happens that the official was there in that vicinity, and I think there was just a lot of controversy with that. There was an interview with Vando that he mentioned that the referee explicitly told them they were not talking to Luca for some reason, which is kind of weird.
Uh-huh.
I mean, why are you refereeing an NBA game if you have a bias against somebody?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. So I read Tim Donaghy's book, right? So the guy who was
Tim
the
Donaghy's
referee was
book, yeah.
exposed. So he
Right.
had a book.
Yeah.
I think David Stern even tried to ban that for some time.
Yeah.
But I was able to read it, and there was a section there, and he's mentioned this throughout podcasts as well. So I don't know the exact moment that triggered it, but basically what happened was every referee in the NBA had some sort of agenda against Allen Iverson.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So-
Steve Javi especially.
Yeah, he basically confirmed it. So there was this one incident that happened between Iverson and the refs that kind of pissed him off, I guess. And then every single time that Allen would just drive in, they would
They call
either
palm.
call a carry
Yeah, or palming.
or they wouldn't call the foul on
Yeah.
on the defender.
Yeah.
So they were pretty much icing him out, and that was confirmed. I mean, a lot of people would say, "Don't why you listen to that guy? He's a cheat and all that." But
Right.
come on, man. We do know that there's
We know
corruption
stuff
in
we
this.
don't know. Yeah.
I mean, just look at that guy who ref the Celtics game where Pat Bev showed the camera.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There was the guy was a Celtics fan, right? The guy was a Celtics
Yeah.
fan, and then there was just a bite. I don't think there's any point.
Right.
There's no reason why that's in the game. And
that's-
then you have
that's-
Draymond. You have Draymond on the other hand.
Draymond, yeah.
James is screaming at the refs. James is just talking shit, clapping,
Yeah.
right? And he barely gets teed up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just that's. I mean, look, it pissed me off because it was a great game, right? Before all that
Until
happened,
they tossed Luca, yeah.
right? It was a great back and forth
Yeah.
game. It felt like a playoff game. We knew that OKC was gonna really be mad. They were
Yeah.
gonna try to exert dominance, and it was a great game. But this ref just for some fucking reason just decided to just take over. There,
Yeah.
reminds me of that Shaq quote one time.
Oh, yeah. Everyone wondered
When he
why
cursed
they-
on TV, Shaq were on live.
Yeah, I'll give a shit. I was like, I don't know if it's like the Scott Foster and Chris Paul thing. You
Oh yeah. I think there was this. I think the people were taking notes on this one. I believe that Chris Paul has a losing record when Scott Foster refs them.
Foster's refereeing.
That's just fucked up, man. I mean, that I think it was even in that Dallas Phoenix series.
Yeah.
That Scott Foster's refing, they're gonna lose, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. I don't know if that Scott Foster was the direct cause of this, but we can see how officials really impact the game.
They have it's tremendous
Yeah.
impact on the game.
Whether they are explicit with it or not, they have an impact, and this is just a good example. I hope this doesn't happen in any game in the playoffs. I don't want
Right.
the games to be ruined because of this.
Yeah.
But it's just pretty horrible.
Right.
So we predicted. We know that the Lakers are locked into 13 now.
Yeah.
That's confirmed. We predicted them to be fourth when
Right.
we had that discussion last week.
Mhm.
Now, I remember when we had this discussion where before Luca even came, it was just AD and Braun. I believe we had them as Western Conference Finals.
Finals
As the ceiling?
As the ceiling, yeah.
So where are we at with that now?
Ooh, third. Do we have a playoff tree?
So what's happened is so
I want to see
given
a playoff
how-
tree first.
it's kind of messed up with how the West is right now, right? So everyone's essentially fighting. It's not confirmed. So what's confirmed is that OKC's won,
Uh-huh.
Rockets are second, and we're the third ones.
Right.
The rest, there's really, it's all up in the air until tomorrow, really.
Wow.
So all we know is that Sacramento or Dallas will be 9 or 10, depending on. I believe they have games that night.
Right.
So whoever wins or loses, is gonna be the ninth seed. They have Sacramento has a tiebreak edge. So if they end up both losing, then Sacramento's gonna be ninth. But then when you go fourth to eighth, that's where it's all kind of jumbled now. So Denver's playing the Rockets, I believe. Clippers are playing the Warriors. That's gonna have implications in there, and then Minnesota's playing Utah. So I kind of have the scenarios mapped here. So what happens is, so Minnesota is probably gonna win against Utah. That's kind of given at this point, right?
Right.
So assuming Minnesota wins, the winner of the Clippers Golden State will decide who's the sixth. And if Golden State wins against the Clippers, then Golden State goes to 6, and the Clippers go to 7th.
Right.
So that's I guess that's probably the biggest game if we want to be if we're gonna be watching tomorrow.
Right.
Whoever wins against the Clippers and the Warriors will probably decide more or less who's gonna face the Lakers. But here's the thing: Denver is playing the Rockets, as I mentioned, and the Rockets rested their players last time against the Lakers. They've been resting them for 2 games now, but they're gonna be playing full strength against
Denver.
Against Denver.
Yeah.
So if Denver loses, and both the Clippers and Minnesota win, we'll be facing Denver. So there's this. I read something statistical about it. I think there's a 60-75% chance that it's going to be the Warriors playing 6, and there's I believe 14% chance either it's Minnesota or Denver. With that being said, who would you prefer to face in the playoffs in the first round?
Between Denver and Golden State and Minnesota.
Let's say that it's either Denver, Golden State, or Minnesota. Those are the only 3 possibilities. Which one would you prefer to face?
I would go with. Honestly, I would go with Minnesota.
Okay.
I'd go with
any specific reason?
I think that they have. I mean, they only have. They have Golden State. Golden State is the team. Let's just say this: Golden State is the team that I least want to face.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because they're peaking right now.
Yeah.
The Nuggets. I mean, I want to meet them later on in the playoffs. I know they're like we haven't even talked about this, but they're a team that's in that's in a lot of disarray right now.
That's crazy. We'll talk about it in a bit. Yeah.
Like a week before
playoffs.
I mean,
that's like the second team that's done that, right? Firing Mike Malone
Memphis.
and the GM at the same time. That's pretty crazy.
GM. Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, I think Minnesota is the team that I think they're gonna have the least amount of problems with, just because. Other than trying to stop Anthony Edwards, like that's really kind of the only, number one priority I think they have against that team. Golden State, it's just playoff Curry is on another level.
Yeah.
Denver playoff Jokic is on another level. So, I mean, out of the 3, I would say Minnesota.
Right. I would agree. I mean, look,
I really haven't seen the playoff Ant-Man.
He's been really playing well this year. To be honest, he's shooting well from 3, and then obviously Minnesota has Gobert and Julius in there. But I agree. I think it's either gonna be hopefully Minnesota or Denver. I personally prefer Denver because, look, I know Jokic is great. Let's lay down, right? You have Michael Porter Jr. who's struggling.
Yeah.
You have Jamal Murray, who usually plays well against the Lakers, but he's coming off an injury.
Right.
Right. So those are the two weak links in that offense right now. Aaron Gordon was great last game for them. I think he scored like 30-something points. And they kind of Russell Westbrook was one of the main reasons why they fired Michael Malone, which is kind of odd. Russ just gets coaches fired left or right. He did that to the Lakers as well. So they started playing Pickett over him.
Yeah,
and he's been great.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I want the Nuggets is, well, number one, they've been kicking our asses for the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I would love it if they would just kick him out in the first round. It would be great. But at the same time, they're still kind of recovering from everything that's happened with firing their coach, and again with Michael Porter struggling and Murray just returning. I think they're prime for the taking. But I wouldn't be mad if it's the Minnesota Timberwolves as well. Again, they're kind of limited offensively.
Right.
They have some good defenders on that team that can probably slow down or kind of make it difficult for Braun and Luka.
Yeah.
And we all know how horrible Julius Randle is when it comes to big games.
Right.
So I think either Minnesota or Denver would be a good matchup. I really would prefer Denver, really, but I wouldn't be mad if it's Minnesota.
Yeah.
However, statistically speaking, there's a huge chance that it's gonna be Golden State. I don't know how that changes with the Rockets playing their whole team. Again, Denver's gotta come out hot and force the Rockets to just sit there.
Is there a reason why Houston is playing their whole team because they're locked for second?
Well, here's the thing, right? So there's the playing tournament is going to be, I believe, on the 16th and 19th, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And there's going to be a week of rest.
Oh, okay.
With this last game of the season and the end of the play-ins.
Right.
So it's probably just for them not to get too rusty with it.
Okay.
Which I totally get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what they did with Jalen Green last time against the Lakers. So Jalen Green had this, I think, Iron Man streak going on. That's why he played that Lakers game. But he only played in the first half, which is funny. I don't know if you noticed that. I was watching the game, right? Jalen Green was, being himself, and then they showed him after halftime. He was he already took a shower and it was street clothes on the bench.
Oh my God.
When the third quarter started.
Wow.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what the Rockets are gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
They just warm him up for the first half, and then just rest of the way. So that means that Denver is probably going to win that game more or less. If I were to put some money on it, I'm guessing Denver's going to win that. So that means that it's just going to be either Minnesota or Golden State, depending on how that Clippers Warriors game is going to go. Because as I mentioned, whoever loses that game will be in the play-in. That Clipper Warrior game, whoever loses is going to be in the play-in. And if you're the Clippers with Kawhi's health and all that, I don't think you want to be taking a chance on the play-in. No. And obviously with Golden State as well, you don't want to take that chance. But that game is going to be in San Francisco, right. So there's a good chance that the Warriors come out of there.
True.
So I mean, I think it's going to be the Warriors, to be honest. I would be very, very careful if I were the Lakers. It's just that Curry, man, you mentioned it, right? Playoff Curry is a different beast.
Yeah.
And they have Jimmy Butler in that team as well now.
Yeah.
Jonathan Kuminga is just one of their best players. He's just returned. So that roster is built to give the Lakers problems.
Yep.
Right? Because if you look the best lineup that the Lakers have is Luka, Austin, Dorian, Braun, and Rui. That's essentially what their death lineup is. They play small.
Right.
So the offensive rating that lineup has is about 124.9, and it has a net rating of 18.6. It's basically their best lineup. It's small. Yeah. So that's the Warriors play small. That's what their game is. You're essentially playing into the Warriors' hands. So now, if Braun has an off night, or he's taking an early last game with what they say is a groin pull. Right. So we don't know what LeBron's health is coming into this playoff. He may or may not be 100%. JJ said he was all right, and I don't want I don't want to put too much stock on that, but
Uh-huh.
listen, if we look at the numbers, do you know what the numbers are for that lineup? It's Luke has been crazy.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely.
So
Uh,
Lucas had 30 points, averaging
mhm.
30 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, really. On 4.2
Yeah.
three-pointers made per game on 42%. That's insane.
Wow.
There's really no offensively there's not a huge hole in this team as long
Mhm.
as everyone's playing to their capacity. Austin has
Great.
been amazing. And my God, it's just
Sure.
watching Austin recently. It's just insane.
Yeah. Wow.
He's been. I look. It's gonna be a controversial take, but I
Mhm.
think Austin is the second best scorer in the team. What do you think?
Second best scorer, second most consistent scorer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't argue with that.
LeBron is LeBron, but
Yeah.
the consistency of Austin has just been on another
There,
level.
yeah.
He's been very reliable as
He's
that's
his shooting percentage is 40. He's almost 50 40 90.
yeah, he's there.
50
I
40
wouldn't be
90.
surprised if he
That's
gets
a
there.
club that only has like what Steve Nash, I think.
I
Is
think Dirk's there
50-40-90.
too.
Yeah, Steph. Yeah,
Yes, Steph.
Dirk. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a rare club. So yeah, the scoring consistent. Wow, it's amazing.
And since
Yeah,
March, Austin has been averaging 23, 5 and 5.
5 and 5.
That's
Ooh.
essentially all-star numbers.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all-star numbers. You're
Yep.
you're paying him. You're only paying him $15 million, and you're getting that kind of production from him.
Right.
It's insane. Insane value.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team has been shooting very well. What I noticed the last couple of games is how reliable Dorian Finney-Smith has been for three.
Yes. Mm.
He's 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 essentially the new KCP in my eyes.
Mm.
He's that new
Right. Yeah.
KCP,
Yeah.
and he's just um, he's just gonna be that quintessential 3-and-D guy that the
Yep.
Lakers have been looking for the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And we can't also we gotta also give a honorable mention to Gabe.
Gabe Vincent. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think people were saying where's Miami Gabe, but
Yeah.
nah, fuck that. We have Los Angeles Gabe now.
Yeah.
He's been amazing.
39% from three.
He's just been amazing on high volume shooting,
Mhm.
and this team I believe is we had the ceiling of this team pegged as a Western Conference uh, final team. Obviously with that was with AD.
Yep.
I think with I wouldn't be far fetched to say that this team can contend now, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Right. So I think with the Western Conference, the biggest challenge that they're gonna have is potentially gonna be this Warriors team, and I would say the Rockets team as well.
Mhm.
Once because that's probably a potential second round matchup.
Right.
So I again, if all goes well, hopefully LeBron is healthy enough, and Lucas has been on a tear. He's
Yeah.
just he's Luke. He looks like Luca again.
Yep.
Is it ready? Are we ready to put a Bigote Brothers prediction right now? Can we say it?
So we'll see
Do you want to
conference
say
final.
it?
Yeah.
Do you want to say it? Is this team capable of winning a championship?
Championship? Oh, okay.
Is that going to be our ceiling?
Yeah, I would say I would go as far as the sky's the limit for this team. I
Yeah.
believe in the chemistry. I believe in JJ Redick. I believe in the system. I believe that the players have bought in to the goal. Because that's really the impact of JJ Redick on this team is he's earned the buy-in of the players to that this is what it takes to win a championship, and we're gonna run it. We're gonna run the system, and it's been working. Like March has been a great month for the team, and they're showing it. Luca has been on a tear, really emerging as what we really predicted when that trade happened was this is his team now, and showing it. This is his team now. Like everyone else, sit back, enjoy the ride. It's kind of what it is now. Let's see what happens.
he really looks like Luka again.
Oh,
When I was watching the last couple of games, he was
yeah.
hitting. He even had that. I believe was that the Rockets game or the game before where he hit that left-handed layup over under.
Yeah. Was it the
Yeah,
Rockets or the Dallas game?
I think it was probably the Dallas game.
Yeah.
Probably the Dallas game where he hit that
Uh,
over and under layup. It's
yeah.
just up and under layup. Sorry. So
I honestly thought he was gonna go for 60.
I think there was a bit
He
of
had 31 in the first half, right?
yeah. He had an insane number in
Yeah.
the first half, and then he kind of slowed down in the second.
Yeah.
I think probably the adrenaline kind of wore off
Yeah.
from the start because that was a great. That's probably one of the best tribute videos
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you can see him. His lips were shaking.
Yeah.
He was really emotional in that game,
Yeah.
as we could have predicted.
Yeah.
And I think it was great. It was a great display of what the team chemistry is at this point.
Yeah.
That he was able to go out there and score 30 points in the first half.
Yeah.
Because you can see that they were just feeding him the ball. It
Feeding him
kind
the
of
ball,
felt
yeah.
like Kobe's last game,
Yeah.
where they were just feeding him the ball and all that. And he looked like Luka, man. He looked like Luka
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, yeah, I think we can predict that this team is probably going to be at least in the finals. I would believe that they have a good chance of going to the finals
Right.
and winning a championship.
Yeah.
Depending on who they face, I would be very like I like Cleveland. I like their lineup and that two big lineup they run, but
Yeah.
and obviously grabbing DeAndre Hunter at the trade deadline is good for them as far as
Right.
bolstering their bench. But I don't believe in that team come the playoffs. I don't think that Donovan Mitchell is a big time player. I think I don't know how he's gonna pull in the finals. I think Boston still beats them
Boston still
in the
beats
conference
them.
finals.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but the way that Jaylen Brown was just making Luka uncomfortable. I don't know if it's because Luka was still
Yeah, the
recovering, you know.
Yeah.
But Boston is probably the matchup that scares me the most, given how deep they are and all that. But again, all things if everyone's healthy,
I think if everyone's healthy, like if we see but the thing with Lakers Celtics matchups though, like if we see this happen in June, it's like if any Lakers Celtics matchups, like all the stats, all the numbers, they just go for some reason they just go out the window.
you gotta throw it away, right?
It's just a case of who wants it more.
It's like it's like at the Neo Lasal games in the AAP.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine about this, right? And
Yeah.
obviously Ateneo's been on the mend so far.
We're rebuilding, but
Yeah,
seen
we're kind
those-
of in that rebuilding stage.
yeah, those off-season tournaments, they show it on YouTube, like the whole games. Speaking of the Blue Eagles, they've been doing better now. They've gotten a few players who are pretty dominant. So yeah, wish him well.
Oh, Jared Baez is looking good. I think he's kind of starting to live up to his name and his reputation.
Right.
But yeah, it kind of feels like that at the Neo Lasal games. These Lakers Celtics was even though, regardless of how good or bad each team is when it comes to the game, they come to play.
Yeah.
They come to play. So I expect that series to be a very competitive one if it does end up happening.
If it happens,
I really think Boston is gonna win the East. So it's really just up to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And really, if they want to step up to the plate. So playoff start. The play-in starts in a couple of days. Obviously, we have a full slate of games tomorrow.
Yep.
Everyone's gonna be playing. Lakers are resting. Everyone really. So I don't expect a lot of noise from that game, but it might be Bronny time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it might be Bronny James time.
Yep.
Let's see what they do with that. I expect big games from Dalton Connect at least.
Yep.
Hey, we might see a lot of Bronny tomorrow. Let's watch out.
Yeah.
But as far as what we're looking at the game to watch is definitely going to be the Clippers
The Clippers
at San
Warriors.
Francisco.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there. Now, we actually have very special thing planned for this episode. We talked about it last week. We're gonna be switching a little bit from the National Basketball Association to something a little bit closer to our hearts, the Philippine Basketball Association. So the PBA is celebrated. It's actually the thing was last night. I think they celebrated their 50 years. It's been can you believe it? It's been 50 years since that league started. So obviously the PBA is the Philippines equivalent of the NBA. It's I think I read somewhere it's probably the oldest professional Asian league.
Asian professional basketball league. Yep.
Yeah. So they celebrated the 50 years, and just like with how the NBA did 75 years and 50 years, they had a list of 50 graded players. But I think that the different thing that the way they handle this is different, right? Because I think they've been adding people to the list, right? Instead of just going with a big list, they've been adding incrementally. Now they added 10 new guys in there. Do we want to go through the whole list first? You want to go through that?
Let's see. Yeah, let's go through the whole list. Yeah.
I try not to talk too much shit about people I haven't watched, but let's see what happens. Right. So let's. It started out in 2000s with the 25th year. Let's start with that.
Right. They had the 20. Actually, no. They had the NBA had the 25th anniversary team. I was looking it up. They unveiled that in 1971.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I think they went through that process of adding like players as they come along.
Okay. Well. All right. So let's start. So, what's the first list look like? So it looks like they started it in the 2000s. Yeah. Okay.
They started in the year 2000. Yeah. Because 1975 was.
So.
See that.
So you have the 25 greatest players in the 2000. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go through the list. Let's see. Let's try to see what we can talk about here.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Where's the first one?
Let's see. Are we on the?
We're still on the 25th. Starting.
25th. Yeah. Let's see. Hold on.
It's gonna be a very juicy list. Just looking at this right now, I want to see. There's gonna be some snubs, but we're gonna talk about that later. But let's just talk about who's in the list.
Right.
How about that?
Are you on the official one?
Let's go whatever list you have.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. Yeah, just taking some time to pull it up.
So, just for context, they've had a list in the 2000s for the 25th anniversary.
Yep.
Right, and they had I think the next time they did it was 2015.
25,
for 40 years.
Right.
And that added 15 more players.
Right.
And then, obviously, you had the 50th anniversary, which they added 10 more.
Yeah. Right.
So let's just go to the initial list of the 25 first.
So first up, the Flying A himself.
Johnny Amarientos, Flying A.
The Flying A.
You know what I remember most about him was when I think it was 1997 when Shaq came to the Philippines.
Oh,
you remember that one? I've been trying to find a video. If I find a video, I'll post it somewhere. But I remember that Shaq visited the Philippines for the first time. This was the time when NBA players started visiting the Philippines. Yeah. So I remember Shaq went through Mega Mall, right? There was a video of he was just being followed around by media. He went to a local record store in the Mega Mall, and this was the time he released an album.
Right.
And then he was just fucking around with the people there. That's fun. But he also had a game in Araneta Coliseum.
Right. Yeah.
I don't remember the game per se, but the biggest thing that I remember
he had a selection, against like PBA players.
So for context, Abrientos is I think 5'7" or 5'5".
He's 5'7".
Yeah, something like that. And then Shaq essentially picked him up and he dunked the ball.
And he dunked the
Right?
ball, yeah.
And
Yep.
Shaq was asked about it years after, and he remembered Johnny. Really, he
Yeah.
remembered Johnny. Oh, is Johnny still playing? How was he? Blah blah blah. I picked him up. Blah blah. I think that's the coolest thing about Johnny, and
Uh-huh.
what people might not know. I don't know if you remember this, but I think he almost tried out for
He
the
almost,
Hornets.
yeah, for the Hornets, yeah. So I think the story behind that was one of the Hornets scouts was got some tape of Johnny playing, and he wanted to get offer him a tryout, but yeah, that meant I think what the story was, and I don't know, those who are those who know Johnny personally or the Flying A, correct us if we're wrong, but I think the reason that that never materialized was that it meant that um, if it didn't materialize in the NBA, that he was under contract and he had to there was something about he couldn't he was gonna give up a lot in the PBA for a tryout, which
Right,
it was
right.
very uncertain. It was he had a lot more certainty in the PBA, with
Right.
regards to his basketball career than giving it a shot at the NBA.
Because that was his
Yeah.
prime. I remember that. And for
Oh,
people who never watched this guy play, he's quick. The reason why he's called the Flying A is that he was quick, and he played
fearless
into.
also. He's
Yeah,
fearless. Yeah.
he had a great mid range jumper as well.
Yeah.
Right, he was just deadly inside the
Yeah.
three, and he's one of the best point guards
Right.
in the league. So he's definitely should be on this list.
Yep. Definitely.
All right, moving
Second.
on.
Okay, a name that some of the young ones might not be familiar with. William Boggs Adornado.
Bugs Adornado. To be honest, I never watched him play.
Coach Boggs, yeah. Well, he's a good friend of my dad. And I know from old clips, he's a mid-range shooter. Played for Crispa, and for young ones out there, the old PBA was basically the biggest rivalry of the old PBA was between Crispa and Toyota.
Yes.
So, like it was really polarizing. It was a very polarizing rivalry. I remember this because my family was my my aunt and my mom and my grandparents. They were all they're all Toyota. Yeah, we were like some of the names that we're gonna bring up on this list. Played for
Part of
for
those teams, yeah.
yeah, Toyota, but it was a really bitter rivalry.
Right. Yeah, I think I started watching basketball well after he's done. But I remember my parents talking about him, and
Yeah.
obviously he has a very, very unique nickname that kind of stuck.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
William Boggs
Next on the
Adornado.
list, who we got?
Next on the list is Ato Agustin.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
shooter.
He's actually, I think, a congressman now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's what he
Yeah,
is now. So,
yeah.
he's in politics. Yeah,
Oh,
he
no,
is.
he's
He's
in
a
politics.
counselor.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, he's a counselor. Wow,
He's in
crazy.
politics. Yeah, yeah. Remember San Miguel? The that was a super team. If you look at San Miguel from the '80s, from the late '80s or '90s, and I know because
I mean,
these were the teams that my dad, who was working with for Shell, this was the team that they faced against and
yeah.
had a really difficult time with, because that was a stacked team. They were coached by Norman Black.
I
They had
mean,
Agustin as their
even
shooting
now,
guard.
man, they're still stacked. That's the problem. But that's for another day. That
When
is
has
for
San
another
Miguel
day.
not been stacked?
Let's talk about that for another day.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot more discussions
There's
with
a lot
regards to
more,
that.
yeah. And I hope,
But
like I said, I hope we can bring my dad in one of our, one of these episodes to talk about the PBA and like the glory days
that would
and
be great.
stuff.
I would
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
So I actually remember Ato Agustin when he was playing. So I think I forgot I think it was in the late 90s.
right.
So a new basketball league was really
Oh, the
was
NBA.
created, the
Yeah.
Metropolitan Basketball Association,
Metro
the
Ball.
NBA.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to actually watch the finals between the first one. So I think
Hmm.
so he was part of the first one of
Pampanga.
the first teams there. So the
Pampanga Dragons.
Pampanga
Yeah.
Dragons. So that was one. I believe that was the first NBA champion.
Mm-hmm.
So they were playing against Alex Compton, and
Manila.
I
Yeah, yeah.
was that the Manila Hotshots. Yeah, so that was the Manila Hotshots. So
Metro Stars, or I think.
oh, Metro Stars, Manila
Yeah.
Metro Stars. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they were playing in the NBA was obviously a lot closer to the NBA, where they were doing a home and away
It was a
kind of
good
thing.
concept. It was really a
It
really
was
good
great.
concept. Yeah.
It was great,
Yeah.
man. Look,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to watch watch games
Yeah.
because they played the Manila team played games in the Ateneo gym.
Yes.
So I
I
would
remember that. Yeah.
after class I would just rush over there because the
Yeah.
tickets were dirt cheap, man. They were like $20,
Right.
20 pesos or something crazy
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
And I would sit courtside for $20.
Yeah.
And again, the talent level compared to the PBA was a bit different, but you
And
had
there
you
were
had Ato
ex-PBA
Agustin
players,
over
yeah,
there.
like ato, ex-PBA players that would move to the NBA.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
eventually some of the superstars there in the NBA eventually went to the PBA as well,
Mhm.
right? So there
Yeah.
was a good concept of the game. They even had, I believe, like I think dunks were worth 3 points or something crazy like
Or
that.
they
They had
had
those
like
weird rules.
yeah, those weird rules, a blitz three or yeah,
I
yeah.
think
I'll
yeah.
look
There's
them up,
also
yeah.
this. You could take a 3 point shot instead of a free throw.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. On the last
Yeah,
few,
they had these
last few
weird rules
minutes,
that
yeah.
kind of just made it spicier for
Yeah.
the league. And I actually was rooting for them because again,
Mhm.
you know, they were they had great team names, man. Look, they had Dragons. They had Dragons as a name.
Pampanga
They had
Dragons.
the Pirates, Pasig Pirates,
That was my team. That was my
right?
team. Yeah, yeah.
you got you got the Cebu Gems, the Davao Eagles, the
Gems,
San
yeah.
Juan Knights. They had some great
Someone
names. I
nice.
mean, as much as we love the PBA, it's kind of fucking weird when you're calling your team the Burger King Whoppers
Yeah.
or
Air
or some
21.
crazy shit like
Yeah.
that,
No
right?
offense to PBA, but yeah, it's like it's the home and away thing was very, and you had like fans. You had like fan
Yeah, man,
bases.
everyone was there.
Yeah.
But
Negro
I think
slashers, remember that?
Negro Slashers,
Yeah.
and Ilo Volts,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah.
Dude, remember,
It's
I remember the Iloilo Volts, man. Like, I
that's where
remember.
Vince Season played, right?
Yeah.
Was it Ilo
The
Volts?
thing remember about the Iloilo Volts was they were part of a team that that we sent over to Taipei for the
Jones Cup?
or
Really?
like the ABC Champions Cup. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they got into a huge Malice in the Palace type brawl with a Chinese Taipei team.
Who was on that team?
The Vince Hugo was on that team. Dale Singson, one of my favorite
Oh,
players
this
from
the guy from
University of
USC, the point guard from USC.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
Tigers.
yes.
Who else was on that team? Oh my goodness.
I wish they had freaking
Yeah,
websites for this
yeah,
because I
man.
really want to find out.
Yeah.
But oh, yeah, here we go, here we go. So you got Vince Season, you got Dale Singson,
Yeah.
Joey Mente,
Yeah, I remember him.
Dominic
Yeah.
Uy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic Uy over there.
Dominic
Some of the
was in
familiar
as
names.
well. Yeah,
Harmon Cudinera, who's the brother of the
yeah.
defense
Brother of
minister.
Jerry, the defense
Jerry.
minister. Yeah.
You got I think those are the only ones I know.
Mm.
Oh, Don Polistico played there, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we remember him. Big guy.
Don Polistico.
Yeah, yeah. San Miguel.
And
Yeah.
and you have Yoy Villamin,
The Bicolano Superman.
the Bicola Superman. He's gonna be there, which we're gonna talk about later.
Oh, you're talking
But
about
yeah,
it.
man, look, they had the concept of the NBA was just too good.
Yeah.
I was kind of sad that they folded, but
Yeah.
you know, I heard that the expenses were just too much, and
Right.
um,
No, the
home
thing,
and
the,
away was
the,
just
the problem with the NBA and my dad told me about this was their biggest sponsor was ABS-CBN. That was
Yeah.
their only way of being able to fund a league that was cross country. So when
Yeah.
ABS-CBN dropped the sponsorship, that was it.
that was it.
That was it.
All right.
They didn't have any more money. You know.
All right,
Yeah.
Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it
Yeah.
moving. So we
Oh,
got
and one more
that's.
thing. Yeah, like you mentioned Bicolano Superman. One thing love about the PBA was the nicknames, bro.
Oh man, we should start calling them with what we know. I
Yeah,
don't.
Augustine, like the atom bomb, you know?
The atom bomb, right? He's the
Yeah.
atom bomb. All
Yeah.
right, let's move on.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
number 4 on the list.
The next on the list, one of my tita's favorite players, Francis Arnaiz.
So what can you tell me about him? I honestly didn't watch him play.
Francis Arnaiz was Atenean. I know because I saw
Okay.
his jersey. Yeah. He played for Ateneo. He was the point guard of Toyota. So the backcourt, that was a dream backcourt. Jaworski and Francis Arnaiz. He was very fearless, very
Bro, look at him. Look at. I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
Look how badass this guy looks. I'll show you. I'll show you. So, just look. He looks like a badass man. Check it out.
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
He had that Mexican cartel look over there.
Yeah.
Look at that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
But
And
okay,
he,
I also did.
I remember he popularized the floater before anyone else had that, either it was a high finger roll like what Steph does or a high floater.
So he's more of a. I think he's a more mestizo guy, right?
He is.
Looks from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
looks of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he lives here. He lives in the Bay Area if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next.
Who we got next?
Oh, Ricardo Brown, another old school name.
The quick brown fox is what he's called.
Ricardo
Yeah.
Brown. He's a Phil Am, I remember San Miguel. Also, he was a Phil Am, but I really don't remember a lot about his game other than he was part of that team, that San Miguel team that
Won the Grand Slam?
won a Grand Slam in '89.
So this is he played for Ron Jacobs probably, yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the greatest coaches.
Old school. Okay.
Yeah.
He's looks like he's from LaSalle as well, but
Yep.
okay. We'll let that slide.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah. The next name of the list.
that?
One of the, could give Steph Curry a run for his money. The Trigger Man himself, man.
Oh,
Alan Kaidik.
probably one of my favorite players of all time.
Yeah.
Okay, one of my
And
favorite
that
players of all time.
left. Was he a lefty?
He's lefty.
He was
a
lefty, and he
Yep.
kind of shot like over.
He cocked it back, right? He cocked it.
Yeah.
He cocked his shot back, but dude was probably the deadliest shooter in Asian history. I would say.
Oh,
I mean, it's
yeah.
pretty biased, but I remember that he has the record for the most threes in the game. I think it was 17 or something crazy like
in the
that.
game, 71 points.
He had 71 points and he had
Or
17 threes.
79. Yeah, 79 points, 17 threes.
There you go. And I
Yeah.
remember that one of his games. I don't know if it was that one that he scored that much, but
Yeah.
I think his child was born and he had
Yeah.
to leave the game.
Yeah. I met him through my dad. Really nice guy. Really nice guy.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I met him through your dad as well. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I think that was cool.
Yeah, it's one of those days we were playing basketball, and they had the I think it was the Hinebra team was practicing afterwards or something.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
This is okay. So there's one on this list that I remember that we watched during that, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Alan Kaidik is. I have his jersey.
The
I have
greatest-
one of his jerseys too.
the greatest
I have always
shooter in Tito
his
PBA.
great taste jerseys. He's
Yeah.
one of my favorite players.
Yep.
And it's fun to watch him shoot the ball because it's
Yeah.
just effortless.
Effortless.
And he's so thin too, right? He's not the quickest guy,
He's not the quickest,
but
yeah,
he can
yeah.
just shoot the hell out of that ball.
Yeah. Like
So
the
that's why he's called the Trigger Man.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Next one is point guard Hector Calma, the director.
The director.
Yeah. San Miguel, part of that San Miguel dream team also. Yeah. He was their point guard, and yeah, I remember really smart player.
Yep.
He's kind of like a John Stockton type,
Right.
like the typical pass first point guard. Pass first. When he's open, he'll take the shot.
So he wasn't really more of a score. He wasn't much of a scorer. Is that what we're saying?
No, not really. Because if you have a team with Juan Fernandez on it and Ato Agustin and Samboy Lim, then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. But yeah, I
Oh,
remember him because of the Grand Slam stuff. This was the
yeah.
Norman Black team,
Norman
right?
Black. Yeah, yeah. Ron
All
Jacobs,
right,
Norman Black. Yeah.
gotcha.
Yep.
All right, we got
Next
next.
one. Ooh. Philip Cesar, Tapal King.
Tapal King, yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's him. I was thinking
Shot
about
blocker.
what his nickname was.
Yeah.
Yes, Tapal King.
Tapal King. Yeah.
See how crazy these nicknames get.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it looks here 6'3", and based on what you said, he's probably a good defensive player.
Yes, yeah. Long arms, thin, but yeah, he was the type of player that if you drove to the basket, he'd be waiting and it's like send it back.
Right, because
Yeah.
this was the time, and I think it's good to just put some context in here.
Mhm.
So, the Philippines doesn't really have a lot of tall players in this era, right?
No, yeah.
So, if you were 6'5", 6'6", you're probably a center.
Center, yeah. This was a
And
time when like 6'4", 6'5", you're already like big.
yeah,
And
the
it's
point
just
guards
now.
are
Yeah, it's just like I think early 2000s when we started having like consistently 6'7", 6'8" people come in, and this is because of the Philams too.
right.
So yeah.
All right, cool.
Wait. Next one is another one that another one that played back in the 70s. Atoy Ko, the fortune cookie.
The fortune cookie.
Yeah. Part of the Crispa team also.
Okay.
And I know I think what my dad told me he's a shooter, mid-range shooter as well.
Again,
Yeah.
I never watched it play,
Yeah, yeah,
but I mean, I just know about this based on the history, right?
yeah, yeah. A lot
Okay.
of the ones who played in the 70s, 80s are like these are just like stories that I have.
All right,
Like,
and,
yeah.
I mean, we will discuss this in the future, but
Yeah.
I was just hoping that the PBA would just have a little bit more proactiveness in trying to get these games out.
Right.
I mean, the NBA is doing a great job with their archives, right?
With the archives, yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
reason why the PBA couldn't do it
I
the
know,
same thing
yeah.
because
I mean, they've had the PBA Classic games, like they would show it on TV and back then. But other than that, like I would love to see more. I would love because there's a lot of memories that that I just know of from like from just like word of mouth.
yeah,
And I don't really have like video footage to look at, but like yeah, like for example, I mentioned Crispa Toyota, the rivalry, and I know that there was a story that my dad told me was back in I think 77, 78 when we were still under martial law. Fight broke out, and the cops got involved, and
okay.
they took the players to Fort Bonifacio or something.
What?
like for a few hours.
They took it to a military camp for fighting.
I mean, it was martial law, so I can just imagine.
Right. It's one of the darkest times in Philippine
One of the
history.
darkest
I
times in
got it.
Philippine history. Yeah.
All right.
Next. Oh, okay. And we know this guy. He's part of he's on your favorite team, the defense
Okay, was it-
minister,
Oh, of course.
Jericho Denier.
Diniera, the defense minister. Okay, so it's just again, yeah, you're right. He's the center for my favorite team, and it
The
hurt
thing
me
I
when
remember
they got
about him
traded.
though is he had a mid-range jumper.
He had a mid range. He had a very
He had a
so
consistent mid-range jumper.
so they call him the defense minister because he just blocks everything, right? But the thing is, with the way that Pure Foods team was playing, they had him more in the mid range because Alvin was the one posting
Yeah.
up. So he could hit it, man. He's
Yeah.
he's a short guy. He can shoot. He has a
Yeah.
good free throw stroke, and he can shoot the mid range.
Yeah.
And he's at that time he was one of the tallest guys in the
He was
league.
center,
So
yeah.
he was good. He was good.
Yeah.
And again, it really hurt me when he got traded.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he got traded.
Yeah, they traded him for Andy Siegel.
Oh, wow.
So that was the time. So they traded Jericho Deniera for Andy Siegel, which was it was tough because that was what I grew up basically. I started watching the PBA, and Pure Foods was one of the first
Yeah.
teams I watched, and
Yeah, Pure Foods.
I watched him win championships and whatnot. It was
Yeah.
hard. It was hard to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Defenseman. Yep. Next on the list, yeah, another one we're familiar with. Kenneth Duremdes, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marbell because he's from the
He's from
so the
Marbella
name
town,
he's
the
from
town.
that city. I think
Yeah.
that's what the reason why, right?
Yeah. 3, I remember him. Yeah, he was he was a player ahead of his time, I think. He was
Yeah,
he
Yeah.
would drive. He was like acrobatic, you know, he would do a lot of stuff.
he was he was probably your prototypical wing at that point
Yeah.
when guys his size were playing in the post.
Yeah.
So he was just I would agree. He was ahead of his time.
Yep.
And he played. That's the reason why he got recruited to Alaska. Really won those championships, and he was part of that '97 Centennial team.
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
one of the best teams. It was the Philippines equivalent of the Dream Team without winning any
Right.
gold.
Yeah. We
But,
won
yeah,
bronze. We won the bronze. Yeah.
You know the bronze in age.
Yeah. It was
I
just
believe they
it was just really difficult, you know. Like we were just really disadvantaged, I think, with the height. I mean, we had 1 7-footer, but he was a project at like EJ File, you know.
he was
He's good, but
he was big.
He wasn't. He wasn't. What we were playing against what Yao Ming, Wang Jiji, you know.
I think yeah. So Yao Ming was as a rookie at that time.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
center of the Chinese team was Wang Zhizhu and Meg Batir.
Batir Meng, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yao was, I think, their up and coming prospect at
Right.
that point.
Uh-huh.
And they had their guards were huge as well.
Mm.
And they really had trouble against that team.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, just
Korea
like with
also,
everyone,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But Kenneth is one of the best
He's one
players
of
in
the
the
best.
league, not
Yeah.
bar none.
Yeah. All right.
Alright.
Next on the list. Oh, another one from the 70s. Bernard Fabiosa.
Oh, Bernie Fabiosa, the
Bernie
Sultan
Fabiosa.
of Swipe. I know who this guy is.
Yeah. Point guard. I think I know he played for my dad for a bit, you know. But yeah, 85, 86, yeah, he was with the Shell, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, he was with the Shell. Yeah.
So
I
is
remember,
there-
yeah. Point guard.
Is there any reason why? So you mentioned that he just played 1 year. Is there any reason why he just stayed for 1 year?
I think because they got Ronnie Magsanok.
Ah,
he moved to
okay,
he moved
that
to
makes sense.
Presto. Yeah, that was just the new team back then.
There was a redundancy in it, and he was a celebrity as well, right?
I think so. Yeah. He was a pretty big name.
So I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Apart from the basketball, the reason why I know who this guy is because he was. Do you know the group Legit Misfits? Do you know that group? The one that sang Jabonga.
Chinelas.
Yeah, they're there. He mentioned he was one of those guys.
Well,
Mentioned Air Chinelas.
like my high school class, we still reference that song, bro.
There's Air Chinelas. Let me get the lyric right.
Yeah.
There-
Yeah, we still reference that song, bro.
I remember that song has been so they reference a lot of basketball players in there.
Yeah. What was that? Oh yeah.
So there you go. So they had Tirang Fabiosa, laro pang kuneta. I sting like Relosa kung sumabog like Loizaga. Tirang
Yeah,
Fabiosa, laro
they were
pang
just-
kuneta.
Yeah, they're just referencing like basketball names and stuff.
Like Patrimonio, we got the skills.
Yeah.
It's just a basketball fans
Yeah.
kind of song, really.
Yeah.
Blasting past your ass like Benji Paras. It's like Jaworski, I'm built to last.
Yep.
Excite like Alvarez, Meneses, or Lipot. Triggerman like kay Dick, pag tsinelas ang susuot.
Yeah.
Like Nelson Asaitono, destroying like Distrito. That's fun, man. Better move on.
Yeah.
So, who's we got next?
Yeah. We got probably the GOAT. El Presidente.
Is this the GOAT? Is it gonna be the GOAT? I know this.
Fernandez?
Would we call this guy the GOAT? Is that it? Ramon Fernandez?
Ramon Fernandez. Well, yeah, probably.
El Presidente?
El Presidente. I think he's the most decorated.
'Cause, I mean, look, I I hate the discussion. I hate the GOAT discussion for one.
Yeah.
Because it's just hard.
Yeah.
This was a different era. So
Oh.
Juan Fernandez was 6'4", right?
Yeah.
So imagine him going, and I'm not gonna just throw this out there. Imagine him
Yeah.
going against Junmar, who's 6'10".
Oh no. Yeah.
It's just,
yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard.
He would be a small forward now, like 6'4", even in the Philippines.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, the GOAT discussion is really tricky.
Yeah.
I'd prefer to say he's probably the GOAT of his generation. That's
Of his
probably a
generation.
safe way to
Yeah,
say
yeah. Safer.
it.
Yeah.
And I believe that he won 4 MVPs, right?
Yep.
Which was a record at the time
Yeah.
until which was equaled by Alvin,
Alvin. Yep.
but then broken by Junmar.
Junmar. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Juan Fernandez was a
Okay.
center back then also.
he was a center. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Next. Okay. Another. Oh, this one is probably the another name from the 70s. Danny Florencio.
I honestly don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm looking at his tenure from he played during the inaugural
Top 10
season of
scoring
PBA.
average, season
75.
champions, scoring average. All right, cool.
Yep.
Oh, it's actually passed. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, next on the list, a shout out to one of my good friends, Mikey. It's your dad. Your dad's
Oh,
next
it's
on
his
the
dad.
list. Abit Gidabin.
Abit Gidabin.
Yeah. One of the greatest centers in the Philippines too. Yep.
Yes, his name is pretty popular. I remember Abit Gidabin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, and I know he's a good friend of my dad too. So like like Mikey was in our class like in grade school and high school. So yeah, he's here in the U.S. So we as during times when I'm able to travel south, we still play basketball. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
And his son's pretty tall too, right?
Oh, Mikey, yeah.
I remember. I know the guy by name, but I
Yeah.
know he's tall.
Yeah.
We have some common friends too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, next,
Cool.
another friend of my dad's. Next, Freddy Hubalde.
Ooh, Freddy Hubalde.
I know his kids were in the UAAP when we were in college. So
Yeah, they were. I think they were in the pros as well.
they're pros. Yeah.
So
know
Derek and Paolo.
Yeah.
I
Derek-
remember Paulo Hubalde in he was in he was on the UE team.
Yeah.
So
Good backup.
was he on that team that UE team when Jack Chia hit the shot?
Yeah, he was. He was a backup.
He was
One
on
of
the team, right?
One of my favorite point guards, Paul Artadi.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
What do we got next?
So we got of course, the living legend, the Big
Oh
J
shit,
himself.
the Big J.
The
Si
Big
Jawo
J. Yeah.
Jawo
Tito
in the
Sonny.
house.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. You can't. That guy has to be on this list. It has to be. I mean, you
As
you can't spell Philippine basketball without Jaworski.
No, the Big J. Yeah.
You can't.
Like-
It's not.
As a player and as a coach.
So when I was looking at these old photos, pare pogi, man. You look great.
Yeah. Like no
I mean-
wonder. Like yeah, he was very popular. Like I think he was the one. He was the reason why. He was kind of the reason why Ginebra is still as popular as they are.
Was
were
he the main
before.
reason?
Yeah.
Is he-
because
is he-
remember he played for Toyota. He was part of that. He was part of that Toyota franchise that won multiple championships, and then when Toyota disbanded, he got sent to Ginebra.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember he
the
was-
new team back then.
He was playing until he was 50 something, I think.
Yeah, Like,
I remember
you-
that final series against Beer Foods.
Yeah,
He was there. He
was
was
there.
he was playing
He was
with
there.
Baldavid and Marlo Aquino on
Yeah.
that Gordon's Gin squad.
yeah.
I remember
And
this.
Him and his son were Braun and Bronny before.
That was the first. Okay, LeBron, you're a copycat. The first father and son team,
yeah,
the first father and son players on the
Yep.
same team was Robert Jaworski and Robert Jaworski Jr.
Yeah,
Okay, and the first player coach.
yeah.
Okay, you got Jawo. Okay, Jawo's the
Yeah.
legend.
He's the legend. Yep. Next,
All right.
Pure Foods guy, Mr. Fourth Quarter himself, man.
Oh, Mr. Fourth, Jojo Lastimosa, Mr.
Jolas.
Fourth Quarter.
Dave
Jolas.
Jolas.
Wala din.
Yeah, man.
I honestly don't remember him too much in the Pure Food squad. I remember him more because of his big three
Yeah.
in Alaska.
Yeah.
Him, Johnny, and Bong Hawkins, obviously.
Yeah.
Pochwinho on that
Pochwinho.
team. Right?
Yeah.
Pochwinho.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well deserved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Oh,
Next one.
Next one is a pioneer of the PBA. I only know him because he's one of the legends of LaSalle, Lim Meng Beng. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were talking about him a lot in the broadcast.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got next.
Ooh. I know he recently passed, so Godspeed the Skywalker.
Oh my God!
Samboy Lim.
Another famous guy, Samboy Lim. I remember him. Yep.
Yeah, the moves, man, the moves.
He's the Dr. J of the Philippines, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was the Dr.
Make
J.
those
I think
360 twisting layups, you know. Yeah.
I hit my dad watched him a lot. That's
Yeah.
why I know who he is.
Yeah.
But I never really watched him play in his prime, really, to be honest. But I saw the highlights. I mean, he was probably one of the first people doing all that shit.
Yeah,
right.
He's like
in the Philippines.
He's like John Morant because of the way that he played was very above the rim and very, and he got injured a lot because he would fall down hard.
Some more D Rose kind of stuff, right?
Yeah,
just reckless with it.
Yeah, but
is that why his career was so short?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He had a lot of injuries. Yeah, I remember he had the high socks also. You know.
Yeah, he was famous for the high socks.
He was famous for the high socks.
He had that. He just do a finger roll layup with the high socks. It just looks great on TV.
Yep.
Cool.
Oh, the next one on the list is one of my favorite players. One of my dad's players too. Ronnie Magsano.
The point laureate.
Yeah, point laureate. Yeah.
He had a. I don't know if it's just the TV, but he had. The form on his jump shot was kind of weird. It kind of looked like he was pushing out like that.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, it was pushing out from the side, not the front, right?
Consistent.
Like you're
Very consistent though.
But he was a great shooter. I remember he was on the Pure Foods team too.
Yeah.
The end of his playing career, I remember him winning.
Yeah, one of my core memories was when my dad was still working for Shell and we would watch the games on TV, and I was a kid, like early 90s. Like hearing on the TV, Magsano 3 points.
That's it, right?
Yeah,
he's a shooter. Sila ni Benji Sarap.
Benji,
yeah. That's him and Benji Paras, the Shell team. I remember.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, next on the 25 list. Oh, one of the best nicknames, man. The Aerial Voyager.
Verhel Meneses, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fun to watch. I remember him. He's just, I think he was just unlucky to be on teams that were bad.
Right.
But he was always the best player on those bad teams. He was.
Yeah. He was on the Centennial team too.
He was. He was. Which is kind of weird that you'd have both Kenneth and Verhel Meneses there. They essentially play the same position.
I think because Kenneth
they play the
was
same.
like on his prime, and Verhel Meneses was already like a veteran, a seasoned veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the Aerial Voyager.
Yeah, he I think he started winning at the end of his career, which is kind of sad. But anyway, we got next.
Next on the list is a pioneer, Manny Paner.
Manny Paner.
Yeah,
LA.
He's a pioneer. I know he was. I know from. I know he's a friend of my dad also, but he was I think he was a center, undersized center.
Okay. It says here that he played in the Olympics in Germany. This is
Munich,
1972.
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool. It's nice.
6'2", yeah, 6'2". Yeah. Okay. University of the Visayas also. So one of the southern talents. This is the thing with with if you're like, and I think I know Kuya Wesley Gonzalez mentioned this in his podcast. That if you're in the UAAP. Like you only get like exposed to to players who are in your region, right?
Right.
But once you hit the PBL, then that's when the cream of the crop from the entire Philippines comes together.
I want to ask your dad about that eventually. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And oh man, this one you're gonna love the next one. Man.
Okay, who's the next guy?
Captain Lionheart.
Okay, that's my favorite player of all time. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my favorite PBA
really nice
player of
guy
all time.
too. I remember I
met him.
Him too. Yeah.
I met him. So
Yeah.
one of my friends, so we had this project in college, right, where
Right.
it's more of a social science project, and
Uh-huh.
the task was kind of to study languages of society.
Yeah.
So my friend had a connection with Kirby Raimundo at the time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we figured that, okay, why don't we study how basketball players talk, because they have their own language on the court and whatnot.
Right.
So it was just an excuse for me to actually just watch the practice.
Really?
So we were able to go to one of their
Yes.
team practices and
Uh-huh.
interview them afterwards.
Ooh, nice.
I had a chance to interview Alvin Patrimonio. He's
Nice.
such a nice guy, man.
He's great.
Such a
He's
nice
great.
guy. And
Yeah.
it was just, bro, I was just starstruck because this dude I've been watching since I was young. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
dude, this is like this is the
he
captain
would,
right here.
He had this post game that was just unreal, because he would go up against like players who are like 3-4 inches taller than him, and he'd like, he was fearless.
Yeah, he had a turnaround. He'd go inside sometimes, drive
Yeah.
to the hoop, and then during the latter stages of his career, he'd develop a 3-point shot.
A 3-point shot, yeah, yeah.
That was it. So
Yeah.
he was. I think he's probably one of the faces of the PBA, to be
Right.
honest,
Yeah.
in that era. So
Right.
yeah,
Oh,
it was great.
Definitely, yeah. The last one on the 25 is, this one I grew up with him, met him because of my dad. Probably probably one of the players that my dad really took care of. The power
Right.
of power.
Oh, Benji
Benji.
Paras, Benji Sarap,
Yeah.
Benji Sarap. Oy.
Yeah.
So he's the only. Is he still the only MVP rookie of the year?
I'm not sure. If he's. But here's the thing: like when my dad was on that podcast, on the 30 of basketball, he was talking about like, he had a choice back then. Before drafting Benji, he had a choice between Benji and another great player, the Bull, who finally got his respect, Nelson Asaitono.
Wait. You're saying that they could have gotten Nelson Aceton instead of Benji Paras and
They
chose
could
Benji?
have, yeah, but he said that. But my dad's thinking was Benji Paras is a once in a generation talent.
And he was right.
But
He was so right.
like he was one of those rare, breeds of centers who would get the rebound and like dribble coast to coast and finish with a dunk.
Yeah, he was 6'6", but he didn't move like a set. So
No, yeah.
we kind of established that 6'6" players were centers, right?
Yeah,
But he wasn't playing like a prototypical. He was
was
more
like a
of
guard.
I think if we were to compare it to someone in today's league, he's probably Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid. Yeah, Yeah.
That's how I'd compare him to. If
Oh,
I
yeah.
were just to, he's 6'6". Obviously,
Yeah.
he's not 7 feet, but for a big man to have handles and a shot like that, he had a mid-range shot. He could shoot the three,
yeah.
and then obviously he just drives to the hole. That's the
Right.
reason why it's called the Tower of Power. Is just
Yeah.
dunking over everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And as far as I know, I'm not sure if that's happened yet in the PBA, but as far as I know, the first Rookie of the Year and MVP.
I think he's the only one. I just
Yeah.
checked. So Junmar didn't win Rookie of the Year
Oh.
in his class.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that he's gonna be that for a while. It's just
Right.
rare, right? Will's the only one who's done it in the NBA.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
the NBA,
So he was.
who I know who else is there? MVP NBA.
Okay, so here we go. So in the 1989 PBA
Oh, just
draft,
two of them. Only two of them.
who's that? Just both of them?
It's Wilt and Wes Unseld.
Oh, Wes also was there. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Benji
Yep.
Paras was drafted first by Formula Shell, and Nelson went second.
Yeah.
Wow, that would have been. Oh man, good thing he chose right, because Benji was the centerpiece for those
Yeah.
Shell teams, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right.
I think that's 25. So
25,
we're gonna
yeah.
be adding 15 more to the list. Let's go.
All
What
right.
do we got next?
So the 40. Okay. The 15 of these were added in 2015. So 15
Okay.
on top of the original 25. Oh, now these are names that you kind of, we
Oh,
kind
this
of
is more relatable. Okay, let's start.
Yeah. The first one is the Mighty Mouse.
Oh my God, Jimmy Alapag, current
Big-
current player development coach for for Sacramento Kings, by the way. Jimmy
Yep.
Alapag,
Yep.
Philippine basketball legend Jimmy Alapag.
Yep.
Okay,
Definitely.
that's who
The
for sure
next-
he's supposed to be on this list.
Right, definitely. The
'Cause
next one
he-
is the skyscraper.
Marlo Aquino. Okay,
6'9".
so
So like again, 6'9". So this is like this was
six
like a
foot
once
nine.
in
He
a
was
life
he had that kili shot. He would go under people.
Oh, like a Kevin McHale up and on. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, he would. So what? I think I don't know which PBA commentator did it,
Probably
right?
Noli Ayala. So he one who
Probably one of
comes up
those,
with that
right?
stuff.
So when the defender was raising their hands,
Uh-huh.
he would go under. That's why
Agree.
they would call it the kilikili shot because
Yeah.
he would just go straight
Yeah.
up. But yeah, yeah, he didn't really play with a lot of force, right? He was more of a finesse kind of center,
I
although he
think
was
he
6'9".
I think he really looked up to Kareem because he also had the goggles.
Yeah, the goggles suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, but he did lead Hinebra from a really dark time to a championship, like in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jaworski like really built that team, like built that
Was
team to
he?
win.
Did he
Yeah,
build it around Marlu? Because he
he
was the
built it
first
around
pick,
Marlo.
right?
Yeah, he built it around Marlo, then Baldavid, and Noli Locsin, Vince Hizon, um, JV Gayoso.
JV Gayos.
Yeah,
See,
Pidoha
Homer
rin.
Sex. Homer Sex.
Who's that?
Homer Se was there. Homer Se.
Homer Sen was there.
Yeah, I remember Homer Se was there. I don't know. Sorry.
Wait,
I was thinking of
or
Wilbert Ong. Sorry, I was
Wilbur
thinking of
Ong,
Wilbert Ong.
Wilbur Ong, and
Sorry,
Kenny Cheng,
Benny Cheng and
the
Wilbert
Bash
Ong.
Brothers.
That was probably one of the dirtiest teams ever.
Oh
By the way.
gosh. Well, this is the thing though. A lot of Jaworski's teams in the 90s were really like bad
He was
boy Pistons
he
level.
was the gulang eh. Remember with Chiming Top basketball, you have Jaworski gulang when you kind of elbow him on the side when you get a bigger rebound or something like that.
So my dad was telling us the story. Like there was this one player who came to play for him, and he came from Hinebra, unnamed until now. I don't know who it is. My
We
dad
gotta
wouldn't
ask
tell
him this.
me. My dad
We
wouldn't
gotta
tell me.
ask.
But he said, like he's like, don't quote me on this, but that player told me, oh, when I was playing for Joe, his orders was give one. Each of you has to give one hard foul each.
That sounds like
If you don't
what
give a hard
Joe
foul,
would say.
upo ka. You're on.
Oh shit.
Yeah, those bad boy Pistons in Ebra teams.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly in today's
Yeah,
game.
no,
I
no,
think.
no.
I mean, I kind of missed that era of the game, to be honest.
Right.
It was fun to watch. It's a
Yeah.
lot more competitive and a lot more
Right.
fiery,
Oh
but
gosh, yeah.
it is
Yeah,
what it is.
definitely. All right, next one, also a Never legend. Mark the Spark.
Oh, Mark the Spark. Okay,
Glendale
so
native.
did he come from?
He came from- yeah,
did
he
he come
played
from
for
Glendale? Really?
Yeah, he played in he came from GCC, Glendale Community College.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when he started, it was kind of weird because he had the bleach blonde hair.
Yeah. Well, man, he could. Yeah, he had game. Like,
Oh yeah, I think he's one of those players who kind of started that because he had a very street ballish kind of style, right?
Right. Yeah.
But at the time, it was the Philippine basketball was a bit structured when it comes
Yeah.
to. He was one of the guys who kind of played just loose.
Right. Yeah. Oh, the next one. It's like later 2000s, and I kind of didn't really see him play except for the Philippine team. The Blur.
Oh, okay, Jason Castro. Okay.
Jason William.
He's actually still playing to this
Yeah?
day. He's 38 now. He's still playing. Yeah.
Wow.
He just got injured. Really, he just got injured, but
wow.
he's still
Yeah.
he was still good. And
Yeah.
him and Jimmy probably would be on this list all the time because of what they did with the Philippine team.
The Philippine team, yeah.
So it was him. It was him and Jimmy who essentially led the team to that win against South Korea in the FIBA Asia Cup.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
them.
it's
So
layup. Yeah.
I think
Was
Jason
it-
Castro is probably one of the best point guards in Asian basketball history.
Right.
He's the Blur for a reason. He just plays fast. He's more of he's developed an outside shot, but his game is just to break you down
Right.
by a dribble.
Yeah.
So he was a perfect fit with those shot race teams where they
Yeah.
emphasize a lot of dribble drive,
Dribble drive, yeah.
kick out
Penetrate pitch,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Definitely,
he was
yep.
he was just the best at that. He's actually still doing it now for some reason. He's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next on the list. Ooh. The Demolition Man.
Danny
Danny
Ildefonso.
I.
Raise the roof.
Raise the roof. Yeah.
Every time he would dunk, he would raise the roof.
Yeah. So remember that, and my dad talked about this in one of the in that podcast he was on. One of the things that really he kind of tried to wrap his head around was that he just recently left the job at Shell. That was just in the late '90s when, and then Shell had the number one pick, San Miguel had number two, and
Right.
Shell drafted Danny I, and San Miguel
Oh,
drafted.
that's right. He was traded.
Yeah, San Miguel drafted the Golden Boy.
Lloyd Castillo.
Lloyd Castillo. And
Lloyd
he
Castillo,
traded,
yeah.
you know, because my dad was envisioning a twin tower lineup of Benji Paras and Danny I,
That's right.
but it never happened.
Is there any specific? Well, let's just wait for him to tell us if he wants to tell
I don't
us.
know why, but he was like asking them like, why did you guys trade him?
That's weird because Danny was the first pick of that draft, and
Right.
I know he was traded. I remember he was traded for Lloyd Castillo, but
Yeah.
I've never figured out why. And Danny ended up obviously being on this list. He's one of the best players in
Although
history.
Shell did win a championship with the Golden Boy because that dude's a shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was part of the Pure Foods team
Yeah.
too as well. He kind of that's where he kind of blossomed really.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next on the list. Oh, the other half of Mark Aguiwas 1-2 punch. JJ Helterbrand.
Oh, is he the Furious? Who's the Fast? Is he the Fast?
Oh, the Fast and the Furious. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's what their name was, right? So
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Kagiwa and Helterbrand were the Fast
Right.
and the Furious. I think he's the Fast, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think he's the Fast. Yeah, yeah.
So I do have a story about this. I don't know
Oh.
if you remember.
Uh-huh.
So we were playing those pickup games in Meralco Gym,
Yeah.
right? And I think at the time, after we played all our games, right, we were just resting up, we were sitting down, whatever.
Uh-huh.
There was this guy on the other court that was kind of I don't know if it was a workout they were doing.
Uh-huh.
They were trying him out or whatever. But there was this guy. He had bleach blonde hair as well,
Uh-huh.
and he was just, dude. He just moved different. You could see that he was quick. He was
Yeah.
hitting his jump shots, whatever. And we didn't know at the time what it was, but it was JJ Helterbrand at
Oh,
the time.
JJ, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like, what the fuck is this? This
Yeah.
guy is just playing in his gym, man. I was like, he's
really
pro.
good, yeah,
What?
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised that he eventually ended up in the pros. He's just, yeah, he plays quick, man. He's like a Westbrook in
Yeah.
my eyes, but a little bit more of a shooter.
Right.
But yeah,
Oh, okay. Next one on the list, we got an early '90s guy, Chito Loizaga.
Chito Loizaga. He
The
also had the headband, right?
Headband, yeah, yeah.
So he was playing with Jaworski's team as
Jaworski,
well,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
The Hinebra
He was
teams.
part of the early Hinebra teams, like with the Destroyer, Rudy Distrito.
Man, who could forget that guy? Rudy Distrito, man. I just say it later. I think that guy's on the list anyway.
Yeah.
All right, who do you got next?
Next, Major Payne.
Eric
Eric
Meg.
Meg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, this guy is probably one of the. I would say he's a pioneer because this was when a lot of the Phil Americans were in the PBA,
Yeah.
right? He was one of the first ones.
Yeah, the legit Philams.
Well, he's legitimate. Obviously, he looks very much like a Filipino.
Yeah.
Right. He's one. I mean, I just remember him because he's. I remember when him and Sonny Alvarado came, and
The Punisher.
right, and this is obviously Sonny Alvarado was fake, right?
Yeah.
That's all good. He was.
Yeah, he was
I think he's Puerto Rican
He's
or something
Puerto
like that.
Rican. Yeah.
Right, but Eric Menk and that Tanduay team had Eric Menk and Sonny Alvarado.
Yeah.
And at this time, you had Patrimonio and Cordillera on the Pure
Right.
team. They were just getting mauled, man. They was just
1-2 punch. Yeah.
because they were so big. Menk
Yeah.
and Alvarado were big, and Menk was.
Yeah.
I think he's 250 or something crazy like that. He was wide,
He's huge. Yeah.
6 feet, man. 6 feet.
Yeah.
He was 6 feet, 6'6". He was 6'6",
Yeah.
and he was playing power forward at the time. That was crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All right. Oh, next on the list, one of the most decorated, Willie Miller.
Willie Miller.
Yeah.
He came from, I believe he came. Did he go from
Yale.
the NBA as well?
Yeah. Oh, NBA. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's where he
yeah.
started. So he started. He was with Alex Quisano on that
yeah.
Nueva Ecija team.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I remember
right.
watching them. So he's just a quick guy too.
Willie Miller. Yeah. Yeah. He was. I remember. Yeah, he was the number one pick. I think early 2000s, and
Yes.
oh man, yeah, really fast.
So he was in that same draft with Mark Kagiwa.
Right, right. Next on the list. Oh yeah, Mark Pingris.
Mark Pingris.
Yeah. I
Okay,
remember when he
so
first started because I wasn't really able to watch him in the latter part of his career, but then he started. Like, he had the cornrows.
yeah,
He
he
had
looked
the
like a black dude.
cornrows. He
He
had
was in the
like
NBA as well.
yeah,
He started off. He started off in the NBA too.
and he
He's
was
one of those
dunking.
guys.
He was really athletic. I remember.
Yeah, he was an athletic power forward,
Yeah.
and he was part of the dynasty
Right.
Pure Foods teams
Yeah.
with Kirby
With
and
Kirby,
Patrimonio James Yap.
right. Oh, that new breed of pure foods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
No.
new Roger Yap. You had
Right,
Peter
Roger
Jun
Yap.
Simon. Yeah, that
PJ Simon. Yeah.
I think
Wow.
he was also
He's-
on the same team as Don King Sasuman. I think, if I'm not
Don
mistaken.
King Sasuman. Oh my goodness.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I think he was
Yeah.
Don King was a little bit earlier, but
Uh-huh.
yeah. But he was in the same team with the Yap, the
Right.
two Yaps
The two
and
Yaps, yeah.
Kirby.
Yeah. Speaking of, the next one on the list is Kirby Raimundo.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Kid.
another nice guy.
Yeah.
Again, he was the reason why we were able to attend
Right.
that Pure Foods practice. A friend of a friend knows
Uh-huh.
him. This pretty cool guy. He he actually was really good with his original team, Red Bull.
Mhm.
But
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah.
just picked it up when he was in Pure Foods. That's where he
Right.
was.
Yeah.
He-
I remember
you know-
that. That was an exciting team. That inaugural Red Bull team with him and
Devon Harp.
Devon Harp, Tora Tora.
See who else was there? Was Willie Miller on that team?
He eventually he joined, but
Yeah.
Junti Valenzuela,
Junti Valenzuela.
the enforcer.
Lordy Togade.
Jordi Tugade, yeah. Ato Agustin was there too on that team.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Ah, I forgot.
And the best actor, Mick Penisi.
Mick Penisi. And that that play where he was hit by the ball and it took him like 3 seconds to react. he wasn't Filipino, right? I think he was. I think his wife was or something like that.
Yeah,
because
but
he's a white guy.
He was a legit film.
Was he?
Yeah, he played. He
No,
played.
no, but
well.
was he Filipino because he was Filipino or because
I don't know.
Because he's
He
Australian.
was naturalized. I'm not
Was
sure.
he naturalized? Was
I
that
think
it? Okay,
Probably,
fine.
yeah.
Okay.
And also
Fair
their
enough.
import. Remember Tony Lang?
Oh yeah, that he was that thin guy, right?
Yeah, like he was.
Was he a Duke guy as well?
He's a Duke. Yeah. I think he was back up to Grant Hill during those NCAA title years.
Oh damn. Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough.
Tony Lang.
That's legit.
Next one, one of the most decorated also. Arwind
Oh
Santos.
man, I hate this guy because he beat us. But he was Spider Man. But he's one of the he's great.
one of the best.
He's so he had a shot. He was just long as hell.
Yeah.
He was just athletic too.
Yeah, it was tough seeing him beat us like when back in college, but I loved it when he beat that LaSalle team. Yeah.
Well, he's I think he's a 2-time MVP in the
Yeah.
UAP or something
Yeah.
crazy like that.
Yeah,
He's one of the
He
best
had
college
all
players.
the-
For
yeah, I
sure.
remember Kuya Wesley was talking about this. Like he got all the awards, like Rookie of the Year, Depoy, Mythical 5. Yeah, like he was very decorated.
Yeah, I still found it weird that San Miguel let go of him eventually. That was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
odd. I thought he was gonna be a lifer.
Yeah. The next one. Yeah, I remember him clearly. The Rock.
Sitaw lava.
Mismo.
Damn. Okay. Okay. 6'8",
Mismo.
pure muscle.
Yeah.
and I think the most the memory that I have of him was that he was really fighting against Yao Ming in the Asian Games.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
As he was 6'8", right?
This is a Yao Ming
Obviously
25.
Yao Ming is
Yeah.
much taller than him.
Yeah.
And they had no chance against him, but he was fighting. And you gotta give it to him, right?
Yeah.
That's how he played. And
Yeah.
he was. I remember he was gonna be the center of the future of the
Right.
Philippine team and all that,
Yeah.
and he was that.
Right.
I actually think he's still playing, man. He's 50. He's in his 50s. He's still playing.
Let me see. Is he still playing? Asito. Yeah, Enlex. He's
He
still on
played
the
last
roster.
year. I'm not sure if he's still playing this year. I think he's retired already.
Yeah,
But shout out to
yeah.
Asito Lava.
The Rock. Yeah. The next one on the list is a veteran still playing too, man. Kelly Williams.
Oh, that guy's still playing. He just
Yeah,
won a championship, really.
yeah. I just
So
want to
Kelly
chat.
Williams.
Yeah. Shout out to
So
Talk and Text, TNT.
he's 43 years old, by the way. He's still
Is
playing pro ball.
speaking
It's
of another
crazy.
Talk and Text lifer is Harvey Carey. Is he still playing?
No, I don't think Harvey Carey
Oh,
is still in the
yeah.
league. So
I remember the cornrows, a big.
yeah, that guy had the cornrows. He was
Yeah.
huge. But Kelly Williams is he just won. I think he's a bench guy obviously right now with that team,
yeah.
but he's just a smart player, right?
Right.
So that's why he was being used, and he was part of that national team as well that
Right.
they first had in
Yeah.
the big beginning.
Yeah. Next on the list is the Philippines version of Big Game James, man.
Papa James.
Yeah. Papa James.
Papa James, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he's I think he's a counselor now.
Oh, he is. Oh, he's in politics.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's a counselor now. He stopped playing. So obviously he
No.
was the player. He was the one that took over when Alvin retired
Yeah.
from Pure Foods.
Yeah. Mhm.
So he was the guy for many years.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I honestly think that if the Philippines had a good developmental system or a lot more skills training, he'd probably
Right.
be on the top. The
Right.
thing with him is that he can. I mean, he's called, I think, the man with a million moves or something crazy like that.
Yeah. But he developed his game, right? Because I remember from college, like he was purely a shooter with
Yeah.
UE. Yeah, and I think he developed his game in the PBA.
A lot more,
A
right?
lot, yeah,
And
inside outside. Yeah.
he was very skilled. Really, it was fun watching him
Yeah.
play. Not just because he was on my team, right? But
Right.
it was just fun watching him play because he's just that pure scorer guy that you
Right.
want.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that his game didn't translate into the FIBA game.
Right.
But in the PBA, he was very dominant, and
Right.
I think he's a multiple-time MVP
Yeah.
too. So, yeah.
All right. Okay, we got 10 more. So.
Oh, is this the latest one?
yeah,
So,
next one, yeah.
okay.
We'll go. These were just selected back on February 3rd. So.
Okay, so there's
For
a
the
lot of
list.
talk with this now.
Yeah, finally got the respect. The Bull.
The Bull,
Nelson
Nelson Asaytono.
Chinito.
Chinito yan. Yeah, he had that.
Hang time. He could palm the ball. Like I remember,
He could palm the ball.
Yeah, and he would go. He would go like this, and then he would like lay it up. You know.
He had that play, right? I think it was on a fast break, and
Yeah.
he was kind of doing he was kind of, I think, trying to dunk it and then just spun it off the board at the last
Yeah.
minute. And then he
Not
just
a
dunked on everybody too.
Oh yeah, yeah. He had
The reason why he's called the Bull is just he's just dunking on people.
he had hops, man.
Oh yeah, he had hops.
Oh.
And he was just,
Yeah.
I think he was one of the bad boys too, right? He
Right.
didn't really
Yeah.
get his flowers at the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just happy that he made the list. Really,
He
he's
was
one.
part of that Swift team that had Tony Harris on. So I can't imagine how they had two ball dominant.
How many points did Tony Harris score again?
105.
Was it 105?
105. Yeah.
It's crazy. The Hurricane Tony Harris.
The Hurricane.
But I'm glad Nelson is on this list,
Yeah,
man.
he
He's one of the
deserves the
more
Yeah.
what you call this, exciting players to
Oh,
watch in the
gosh, yeah.
PBA. And
Very
I'm glad
exciting.
he's on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is the Jet.
Jeffrey Cariaso. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a coach now, if you don't
Coach.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coaching now.
Yep. He's the
So-
head coach of Blackwater. Yeah.
I mean, when his game is a bit, it's hard to define his game because he can drive.
Yeah.
He has a mid-range shot.
Mid range.
But he's more of a-
Yeah.
Yeah, he's more of a defensive kind of player.
Right.
He's not really a scorer per se.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was great on those Alaska teams that he was
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Really,
Yeah. A key player. In the Grand Slam, I remember Johnny A, Kenneth, Jeffrey Cariaso, Bong Hawkins, which
they're very dominant
Yeah.
for a reason. Yep.
Yeah. Next one is probably the most dominant player in the PBA right now, Junmar, the
Well,
Kraken.
I mean, he's 6'10", man. What are
Yeah.
you gonna expect? I mean,
Yeah.
he's 6'10". He's playing. He's just ahead of. Oh, look. He's skilled, no doubt. I watched him here. Obviously, play against New Zealand, and he's definitely skilled.
Yep.
I think he's won MVP 6 times or something crazy
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Basically, the most. Let me see. Yeah, 8 times. He's won it 8 times. Fucking crazy.
Whew.
So, 6'10", 260. It's just big, man, and
Right.
he can shoot the mid range a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, he's unstoppable inside.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's won the MVP a lot of times. And
Right.
yeah, man, it's a no brainer. He's gonna be on this
Oh
list
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yep. All right, next one is the Hawk.
Bong
Well,
Hawkins.
Yeah.
He had a weird shot, right? He had a weird
Yeah.
shot. I think that's
Yeah.
this the trademark of Bong Hawkins is
Yeah.
how he shot the ball.
He was wide. He was a wide body, undersized for a power forward, but he mixed it up. He could mix it up.
He was really perfect for that Alaska team,
Oh, yeah.
really playing that triangle.
The triangle offense, yeah.
Yeah, he was really perfect
Very,
because he was just
very smart. Learned the offense,
and a deadly mid range jumper as well.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next on the list is, let's see. Ooh, another old name that we haven't heard in a while. Abe King.
Abe King. He
Abe
was.
King. Pure Food.
I remember he
back
was on the
in
Pure Food
late
team at
90s,
one time. Yeah.
He was already on his way out by then. By the time we started kind of learning about him. He was on the Great Taste also on Toyota as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, the next one on the list is the Dynamite.
Danny
Danny
Siegel.
Siegel.
Okay, this is another no
No
brainer.
brainer.
It was just.
yeah.
I mean, he was probably one of the best players during his time.
Another
And-
big what if was if he didn't tear his ACL
Was it ACL or Achilles?
or Achilles, something like that.
I
and
think
he
it was an
part of-
Achilles. I know what you're talking about, right? He's
Yeah,
on the
he was part of
Philippine
that
team.
Philippine team, yeah.
Yeah, he tore. I believe it was his Achilles that he tore, if I'm not mistaken. So he before they went and competed
It was two things, though,
during
yeah.
Asian Games.
It was two
Yeah.
things. First was Ron Jacobs suffered a stroke that pretty much ended his coaching career, and then
Yep.
Danny S went down with the Achilles.
So that was the
Yeah.
2002 Asian
Yeah.
Games.
Yep.
Okay. So this was when I think this was the time when Asi went against Yao. Really,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That one. Yeah.
I think this was it. I think this was that year.
The difference he
Okay.
could have made, his athleticism too.
Yeah, because he was a 6'6" wing, really.
Yeah.
He could shoot the ball. He could drive it.
Yeah.
He could provide a lot of size for that team, which
Right.
they didn't have, unfortunately. But
Mhm.
I mean, it's easy to call it a what if, but Yao Ming was just on some shit that year, man. I don't think they could have beaten him.
Yeah.
They might have gotten silver,
Yep.
if you ask me. But I don't think they had a chance to beat the Chinese team that
Right.
year.
Yeah.
So, you had Yao Ming there. He was just playing
Yeah.
hell out. This was
Although,
the year
yeah.
before he got drafted too.
Yeah. Although that year I think it was Korea who actually won the gold. They beat.
Yeah, Korea beat him. Korea
Yeah.
beat him. Yep.
So it was like a what if, like if we beat Korea, because remember Olsen Rosella missed those 2 free throws, and then
Oh, that's right. That was that fucking game. I
he
remember
missed those
that.
2 free
I
throws, and
remember
then
that.
Korea answers back with a game winner.
That was the reason why they had to play China in the semifinals.
No, that was the reason why we weren't in the gold medal game, and then we lost to Kazakhstan. So we went
Right. Oh
first.
yeah. You're right. That was
Yeah.
Olsen Rosella, a very very dependable shooter. Missed 2 free throws,
Two
and then
free
they won
throws.
it. Lost.
What? That's what like people were thinking. Are we really cursed against Korea? And that
Until
it wasn't broken until 2014.
yeah, when Jason Castro
Yeah.
and
Jimmy
Jimmy
Alapag,
Alapag
yeah.
essentially
Yeah.
just shot the lights out that
Yeah.
game. That was it.
That
That
was
was it.
crazy.
Oh, that's right. So
Yeah.
the Philippines played. I think the Philippines ended up playing.
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan and
Greatest
lost.
country in
Yeah.
the world.
Oh man, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then-
what do you got next?
Oh, the next one is this is where the controversy starts. The next one on the list is Scotty Thompson.
Okay, I have
So,
some thoughts about
okay.
this. I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Do you
Go ahead.
have you watched this? Have you watched Scotty Thompson play?
dude, he's great.
All right.
Yeah.
So Scotty Thompson is, I think was he Finals MVP or something like
He was
that, or
looking-
MVP?
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's won MVP yet. But
No,
So
but
he's
the thing, though,
obviously
the reason I think the PBA justified his addition was because if you're a previous MVP, automatically you're on the list.
I think that's bullshit. Okay, so let's just lay it down for now. Let's finish the list and then let's kind of get into that. Okay,
Yeah.
so who's next?
Next is we got three players who were like were from the 70s also. Next one is a good friend of my dad. Unfortunate, what happened to him? Tito Arnie Tuadles.
Arnie Tuadles.
Yeah,
Okay.
played with Shell. One of the toughest, players. Like not just physical but also heart. Like I remember my dad told this story about they were about to play Ginebra, and it was obvious that that the players were kind of thrown off by the physicality, and then he was like, "Ano ba kayo?" Like he was saying like. No, like Ginebra lang yan, tao lang yan. Like they bleed just like we do, stuff, motivational speech. My dad
That's
was
what you want. Yeah. That's what you want.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't know if it's unfortunate what happened to Tito Arnie with that shooting incident.
Wait, what happened?
So, as unfortunate as what it was, like he was shot over like a card game or something.
Oh shit, that's sad.
My dad was ready to offer him like a coaching position already in the PBL. Or
Right, before all that happened.
Refer him to a coaching position in the PBL.
Oh damn,
Yeah.
that's horrible.
Yeah, it is. Yep. But one of the greatest. Yeah, I'm glad he's on the list. Yeah. The next one is another one, Manny Victorino. I don't remember
Okay.
him.
I remember him on the
Center,
Pure
yeah.
Foods team. I don't remember it. I think he had a flat top.
Right.
I think that's what his look
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not too sure, but I remember
Yeah.
him. I remember him on the Pure Foods
He
team.
also played for Shell. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Also.
Oh yeah, he was a big man. I remember him.
Big man.
Yeah, he's a big man who's
Yeah.
just yeah, he played 1 year for Pure Foods and
Yeah.
okay. Was he a MVP too?
No,
He
I don't
wasn't.
think he was MVP,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
But he was
gonna get
he was
spicy.
steady, like a starting center. Yeah.
He actually played in the
last one on
NBA
the
as
list.
well.
Yeah, the last one on the
Okay, so
list.
that's-
One of my favorite nicknames, also the Bicolano Superman.
The Bicolano Superman, Yoy Villamin. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
half of the Bruce brothers, bro.
Yeah, this dude was jacked.
He was jacked.
This
yeah.
look at this. Look at this. So look at this guy. He's just huge. And I get why he would be called the Bicolano Superman. Look at him, man.
Yeah.
Look how the finals arms are.
Yeah.
This was in the 90s probably because
Yeah.
of this Pure Foods uniform, right?
Yep.
Dude was huge.
He was jacked.
Yeah, it looks like it's jacked.
Yeah.
Look at that.
He was part of the Bruce brothers with Ricky Relosa.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 50?
Yeah, that's 50.
Okay, so you talked about controversy.
Yeah.
Let's go into that real quick.
Yeah.
The MVP for the PBA, I don't know if you guys are you familiar with how the MVP is calculated in the PBA?
No.
Okay. So it's a bit odd, right? So in the NBA, it's mostly just votes, right? So I think they give ballots to people,
Right.
and then those people put their first, second, and third choices in there,
Yeah.
and depending on where you land, you get points,
Yep.
and it gets tabulated until you have a list there of
Right.
who's MVP, whatnot.
Yeah.
That's why you get number of first place votes, number of second place votes, so on and so forth.
Right.
So the way the PBA calculates its MVP award, and I don't know how they did this before, but from when we started watching, is that they take your stats into consideration.
Right.
So obviously the score is calculated in 45% of the score, your score, is based on your stats. 30% goes is calculated from how many votes you get from the press, and 25% of it is the players themselves.
Players themselves. Oh, okay.
So it's just really weird because
yeah.
I get it, right? You want to get stats into consideration because it's your performance, but
Right.
I mean, come on, man. We live in a era where Russell Westbrook just gets triple doubles out of nothing, and it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think the standard as to, how this list should be, should be collected is like how much influence or impact a player has had on the game. That can't be measured.
Yeah.
Like for example, no offense, but Scotty has game. Scotty Thompson has game. Like he's really good. Like he's impactful. He has the numbers show it. His impact with Hinebra show it. But I personally feel like my good friend and main man LA Tenorio should have been on that list.
That's one of the guys that should be
Yep.
on that list. I think is one of the biggest snubs in there.
Yep.
If we're talking about, I
We'll see
personally
with the
value
75, we'll see, but
I would value the finals MVP more than the MVP, to be honest with you, because a finals MVP means that you actually won and you're the best player on
you're
that
the
team.
best player on that team.
And Ellie's won a lot of those.
Oh,
Okay, Ellie's one of those guys who are.
yeah.
If you put him in the finals, right, he's gonna perform. He's clutch.
Yep.
He's gonna be your guy,
Yep.
and that's why I think he should be there. That's one of the biggest snubs, really. I
Right.
think Scotty is a stat stuffer, no doubt about it,
Yep.
because of how their system is. I don't know if you've watched him play a lot, but Scotty's
Not really, but yeah.
he's not a point guard.
Really.
He's not your traditional point guard
Yeah,
wherein
he's-
he's
yeah.
gonna, because they run a triangle, right? His team runs a triangle, so it's not really a point guard setting the table. It's more of he's a smart player, no doubt.
Under Coach Tim, right?
Yeah, he's coached him. And the thing that I like about Scotty Thompson is I think he's 6'3" or something like that, but he fights for rebounds like he's 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
The heart is there, no doubt about it. But
Yeah.
his scoring is something you want more out of. When I watched him against New Zealand, he was just the reason why New Zealand shut down the Philippines is that no one outside of Justin Brawley could score. They were essentially playing 4 versus 5 because Justin Brawley was shut down and no one else could create on that team apart from Chris Newsom.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris Newsom was the reason why that game was close to begin with, and again, I'm not gonna blame this on Scotty, but the Philippines lost that game when Newsom was subbed out for Scotty. They lost that game because of that, because Scotty's more of a system player,
Yeah.
and while Newsom can improvise on the fly, that was
Right.
it. So I wouldn't put Scotty in this list just because of the fact that number one, he's a system player, right? And again, if you compare him to LA, come on, man, there's really no comparison there. LA is much more of a complete basketball player.
Right.
So one of the other guys that I actually think was snubbed as well was Ranidel de Ocampo, RDO.
RDO. Yeah.
Okay, so if we're talking about impact to the game, man, RDO number one was one of the best players in Gilas teams. He was one of the reasons why they beat South Korea. Okay,
Yeah.
so because he was that wing player who could hit threes and play defense.
Right.
That's the reason why. One of the reasons why they won. He's also a great part of those talk and text teams. Right. I believe that he was integral to the championship wins of talk and text. He has 2 finals MVPs
Right.
because of that. So he's one of those great guys.
Yeah.
Another on the list that I have, and we've kind of talked about them already, is Olsen.
Yeah.
Olsen Rosella is
Rosella,
missing
yeah.
from this list.
Right.
Olsen is, again, we don't want to talk about 2002.
No. Yeah.
Apart from that, Olsen Rosella is one of the best point guards.
He's one of the best, most consistent point guards. Yep.
Mr. Quality Minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just... a lot of people will shit on him for 2002, but he's actually very clutch.
Oh, he's clutch. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if I were, I mean, he should be on that list as well.
Yeah. Also, another one who's not on the list is the main man, the big deal.
Jun Limpot.
Limpot.
Oh my god.
The
Yes.
big deal.
The big deal.
Yeah.
He's just, the dude was just great in the post. I remember him.
Yeah.
He had a mid-range shot.
Right.
And he was just great in the post.
Yeah. And
6'6", 6'7", something like that.
his partner in Santa Lucia, Dennis the Menace.
Dennis Espino.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
Yep.
another one. Another one that's missing.
But yeah,
anybody else on your list?
That's pretty much the 10. I think there was a part here where, like, who out of this pool of 50 should be the additional 10. So yeah, I was like, yeah, Jun Dimpot definitely, the Bull, Bong Hawkins, RDO. Yeah,
I got another one. I got another one for you.
Yeah.
Gabe Norwood.
Oh,
Gabe Norwood should be there.
Yeah.
He's one of the best defensive players in
One
the
of the
league.
best defensive. Yeah.
All right, he's not a flashy scorer. Obviously, he had that poster dunk in
On
FIBA
Scola.
against Scola. But if we have, and again, I'm not gonna disparage some of the guys on this list.
No.
okay? I'm not gonna say that.
They might have their chance on the 75.
Right? But
Yeah.
some of the guys on the list over Gabe Norwood, for example, that's kind of a bit iffy. I don't want to just call out people here on this list, but if we're putting those kinds of players on that list, Gabe Norwood should be here.
Gabe Norwood should be there. Yeah.
I got another one actually.
Yeah.
I got another one, and this is a bit of a homer, but this guy has been an integral part of championships as well. I don't know if you probably remember watching this guy, and he's again. I might be a little bit of a homer here, but I would put Peter Jun Simon in here.
Oh, PJ Simon. Yeah.
Okay,
I haven't
put PJ
really
Simon.
seen a lot of him because this is like late 2000s already, but
Yep.
yeah.
But Pure Foods wouldn't have won those championships.
Would you also put the Bullet there on that list?
Derek Pumarin.
Yeah. Dindo.
Sorry, Dindo. That's right.
Yeah.
Dindo Pumarin.
Yeah.
Nah, I wouldn't put him. Dindo's one of those important players, but I wouldn't put him ahead of PJ
I
Simon.
love PJ Simon. Yeah.
I think PJ Simon is one of those scorers that should be on this list. If we were to put it, hopefully he's next in there.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
And another one, I would say is probably the last guy is Calvin.
Oh, the Beast.
Abueva.
Yeah,
The Beast.
Yeah.
But if we're just talking about stats, this guy's the rookie of the year, right?
Yeah.
This guy he's essentially the Dennis Rodman of the league, really.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the Dennis Rodman of the league, but he's an all-around defender.
Right.
He can score. He puts up stats, really. If we're talking about Scotty, we can't talk about Scotty without talking about how Calvin Abueva is an all-around player. Should be there. Should be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just. I don't think he's gonna be there just because of his reputation. Really, he's a very bad boy. So, yeah, I mean, look, PBA's 50 now. We definitely have a lot to talk about when it comes to the PBA.
Yeah.
I have so much feedback about that and how the PBA is now. I don't know if you've watched them recently. It's a sad situation.
Yeah.
We can get to it next time.
We'll get to it next time.
Next week we got playoffs.
Yeah,
we got to concentrate on the Lakers.
Yep.
Next week, the play-ins will start. As I mentioned, gonna be starting next week.
Right.
And then after that, the playoffs will start. We will find out who the Lakers will play tomorrow. And let's probably do a little bit of a analytical work here and see how
let's see how they go.
That series will unfold. We'll
Right.
start with whoever the Lakers are playing in the first round.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if we can expand it to other teams.
Right. Let's
But
do that. Yeah.
that's pretty much it at this point. And thanks for joining us.
Tuning in, like and subscribe. There's our social media handles over the middle. Yep.
It's got to be in the middle somewhere, yeah. And we're gonna be starting to post a little bit more of the shorts and all that.
Right.
I'm gonna have a lot of time.
Let's do that.
Yeah, my wife's about to pop soon, and I'll have a lot of time on my hands.
Congratulations,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're gonna have a boy.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens, and
Start
see
giving
you
him
guys
like
on the
toy,
next round then.
start giving like toy basketballs and stuff.
Oh man, look, man, I'm gonna buy him those toy basketballs and the hoops and see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens,
Um, I was talking to my wife. You know what?
Uh.
If this kid grows up good, I
Yeah.
hopefully he's gonna be an Athenian.
yeah.
That's gonna be the dream. That's gonna be the
Yeah.
dream. We'll see in a couple of years. We'll
All
see
right.
in 18 years what
Yeah.
happens with that. But
What happens?
listen, man. Well, it's been great. This is a
All right.
great discussion. Let's
Yep.
see what happens with the Lakers next week.
Yes, sir.
And yeah,
All right.
see each other next
Take
week.
care, guys.
Cheers.
All right, peace.
All right.